Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I don't even know who I am anymore? Or maybe you've spent your whole life trying to be who others needed you to be, and now you're not sure where they end and where you begin. Who are you when the noise fades? Without the job title, without the achievements, when you're not the caretaker, when it's just you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Beloved Christian Healing for Identity and Self-Worth. I am Cherise Rochelle, and today we're continuing our Healing Father Wound series by exploring the deeply personal and often painful question of, who am I really? We'll be unpacking what it means to reclaim your God-given identity, especially when it's being buried under trauma, expectations, or fear. From a young age, many of us learned that identity had to be earned. Be the good child, be the achiever, be the helper, be quiet to keep the peace. When emotional needs go unmet or love feels conditional, we often build identities that protect us. The achiever, who never rests. The fixer, who takes care of everyone else. The chameleon, who becomes who others want. The core wound here, I have to become someone else in order to be accepted. Over time, this external shaping replaces our internal knowing. We adapt, we survive, but we lose ourselves in the process. You may have learned, I'm only lovable when I perform, or if I don't meet expectations, I'll be rejected, or it's safer to be who they want than who I am. But here's the truth. You were never meant to become a performance. I know this all too well. I was the good daughter, the achiever, the helper, the fixer, all of it. One story that really captures just how much of myself I lost is the story of how I became a doctor. Growing up, I first wanted to be a vet. Later, I became really passionate about psychology, but those dreams were really never supported. Instead, I was encouraged strongly to become a doctor, and so I did. I remember thinking, we can all win. I'd study medicine and specialize in psychiatry. That way, I could honor my interests and still be the version of success that everyone wanted. But even that wasn't enough. I remember sharing the specialties I was interested in with my dad, and he wasn't interested. I remember saying during my clinical years that I couldn't see myself doing this for the rest of my life, and feeling completely dismissed, like it didn't matter. There was an agenda, and I was just a piece of the puzzle. Even after I completed my degree and I started practicing, I kept saying that I was looking for a way out. I was so unhappy. I remember one day I cried, not because of something big, but because my mom was late to pick me up from the hospital, and I had to stay a bit later. I was so emotionally overwhelmed. A little while after that, the head of the surgical department pulled me aside. He said my dad had spoken to him and asked him to convince me not to leave. I left anyway, and there was so much backlash. I was no longer the perfect child. I became the disappointment, the disgrace, and no one seemed to care how I felt. But I had to choose myself. I had to love myself. The truth, I didn't even know what I wanted. And even after that, I still tried to make choices that would strike a balance, trying to keep the peace, trying to be okay. But that decision was the beginning of my healing, the beginning of reclaiming who I was underneath all the pressure to be what everyone else wanted. So how does this identity confusion show up? You might feel like you struggle to answer, what do I want? You often feel invisible in relationships. You fear that if people really knew you, they would leave. You shift who you are depending on who you're with. You feel exhausted keeping up with the role you're playing. Here are some signs that you've lost sight of your identity. You feel lost without a role to play. You constantly compare yourself to others. You feel like an imposter even when you're doing well, and you need external validation to feel okay. The inner narrative here, I don't know who I am unless I'm being what someone else needs. Here's a question to reflect on. Who am I when I'm not needed by anyone? Let's look at what the Bible says about identity. Firstly, you were known before you were born. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. That is taken from Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Your identity isn't something that you achieve. It's something that you were given by God. You are made in God's image. So God created mankind in his own image. That is taken from Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. You carry dignity, purpose, and worth, not because of what you do, but because of who God is. You are called God's child. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. That is taken from 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. You are not what others have called you. You are not your achievements. You are beloved by name, by nature, and by grace. Let's look at how to reclaim our God-given identity. Get honest about the masks that you have put on. Reflect on, who do I feel I have to be in order to be loved? What roles have you taken on in order to survive? Remove the labels. Write down all the names that the world has given you and ask yourself, which of these did God never speak over me? Let God speak to you in this moment of reflection and ask him, who do you say that I am? Sit with scriptures that reveal your identity in him. Rebuild with truth. Replace old labels with declarations like, I am chosen, I am whole, and I am not who trauma made me. I am who God says that I am. Your identity isn't found in isolation. It is discovered in the presence of the one who formed you. The identity shift that you want to come away with is, I am not who trauma made me. I'm who God says I am. Here are some affirmations I would like for you to take away from today. I do not have to strive to become someone. I already am someone, God's beloved. I am not lost. I am returning to who I've always been, loved, chosen, and seen by God. And we're going to close on this verse. You are no longer a slave, but God's child. That is taken from Galatians chapter 4, verse 7. If this episode stirred something in you, just know you're not starting from scratch. You're simply returning to yourself, and even more than that, you're returning to the one who made you. I'd love to invite you to keep walking with me through this series. In the next episode, we're going to continue to look at identity, and I just want you to know that you are deeply seen, deeply loved, and you don't have to figure this all out alone. If you would like someone to talk to, feel free to reach out to me at belovedwithcherise@gmail.com, or you can book a one-to-one session. The details are in the description below. But for now, this has been Beloved with Cherise Rochelle, and until next time, stay rooted in truth, wrapped in grace, and never forget you are beloved.